You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
I was just talking to Jay, who's on the board today, about some of the books we're going to be reading in stores this week coming up after this. And one of them has a reference to the TV show Sanford and Son. And as soon as I saw that, my mind went, and that's been stuck in my head ever since I read the book. But, Jay and I were talking, it's like there were some shows we watched as kids that we probably shouldn't have been watching as kids, but they were on reruns because that's the way TV used to work. You had reruns. Now there's so many different channels, you're not watching reruns. But, I grew up watching shows from eras much older than mine. I mean, I Love Lucy, My Three Sons, Family Affair, The Brady Bunch, Sanford and Son, Chico and the Man, not Three's Company, It's a Living, one with Rerun. That one's going to bug me. But yeah, I watched all those growing up. And now, you don't even have that kind of humor anymore, which is a shame because it was always fun stuff. So, all right, guys, stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. That's right. It was What's Happening, Raj, Dwayne, and Rerun. Both Jay and I looked it up. So, hey, Triple B, drive safely getting home. Cool, good to see you. All right, we have got a good lineup today on the Experience. We've got in stores this week, Minute to Skim It, and it's Mindhunter tonight. Yeah, Mindhunter. So that's our lineup, but we got some fun stuff to do today. I got some news. We're going to talk about the What If series, and then we're going to do some key collectibles. So, hey, Ed, good to see you. All right, so let's just jump right into the news. That's always good. And we're going to kick it off with, turns out the writer's strike has struck again. Max Reeves' HBO Max, or Max series, I have to get used to saying that. The Penguin has become the latest high-profile TV production to be disrupted by the Writers Guild. The organized picketers went out in front of there, and the show starring Colin Farrell, which was supposed to film today in Westchester, New York, but the picketers got out there early, and the Teamsters and the local guilds refused to cross the picket line like you'd expect. And as a result, the filming on the Batman spinoff series was shut down for the day. Now, one of the writers from the picket line got onto Twitter and made the comment, "The Batman trying to shut down the Penguin since 1941. WGA East manages it in one day." So the 8-episode drama series sees Farrell reprise his Batman villain and continues the crime saga that Matt Reeves began in The Batman. It has Kristen Milotti playing a Sophia Falcone. We also have Renzi Feliz, Michael Kelly, Shohreh Aghdashloo, and Deidre O'Connell. Of course, this comes from Warner Brothers TV and DC Studios. Hey, Canonis, good to see you. In other news, Willem Dafoe joined the cast of Beetlejuice 2. I don't know if they're still going Hawaiian. That was always the original plan. While not much is known about the Tim Burton-led sequel, Defoe joins a cast that includes Jenna Ortega, Justin Theroux, plus original cast members Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Catherine O'Hara. Monica Bellucci is said to be in talks for playing Mrs. Beetlejuice. The original Beetlejuice, if you guys are curious, it grossed $75 million back in 1988. Nowadays, that's just kind of a decent Marvel opening. But back in 1988, that was big, big money, and it won an Academy Award for Best Makeup. So, all right, let's move on. The Hollywood Reporter did a story over the weekend, and it says that DC Studios is going through looking for cast for the upcoming Superman Legacy film. And while they say what they say is interesting, anytime you see a story like this, the first thing you got to do is go out to social media and see James Gunn's reaction to it, because he's not afraid to call it out as just a bunch of BS or truths or half truths. So you want to get what he says, and this time it's kind of interesting. He neither confirmed nor denied anything, saying, "For all of you asking, I would never comment on who is or isn't auditioning for a role. That's the actor's business only, and isn't something I'd make public unless they did first, after the fact." And he gave a couple of examples, like Glenn Howerton or Zachary Levi having both auditioned for Star-Lord, before Chris Pratt got it. He goes on to say, "For now, only one person has been cast in Superman Legacy, and it isn't any of the regular players in the Superman world." Now, this might tie into the fact he says that somebody from Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be in Superman Legacy, so that could be that person, in which case they're not playing somebody who's a regular. Now, what does the report say? That's where it gets also interesting now that there's some validity to it. Some of the people that are being considered, David Cornsweet, who has been talked about for a long time. He has that look of Superman. I could see him going. There was a couple people that were talked about, but who don't seem to be currently being considered. Those are Jacob Elordi, Tom Brittany, and Andrew Richardson. For Lois Lane, it's got an interesting cast or selection of people to choose from. Emma Mackey, Rachel Brosnahan. I hope I typed that wrong because that's a tough name. Might have been Brosnahan, but Phoebe Denevor and Samara Weaving. So Samara Weaving looks an awful lot like Margot Robbie. That'd be weird to have both of them in the same universe. But they're both being looked at. Figure drawing says Jacob Elordi would be great. It's sad that Gunn isn't aiming for him due to 6'5". Check out David Cornsweet, spelled Cornsweet, Corenswet. I think he's in that same range. But the one that really stood out to me was who is being talked about for playing Lex Luthor, and that would be Renfield and X-Men star Nicholas Hoult. And of course, they were showing pictures of him with a shaved head. So those are really interesting. But Hoult had been kind of dancing with Warner Brothers in the past, as he was considered the runner-up to Robert Pattinson for Matt Reeves' Batman. So, again, none of these castings have been confirmed, but they've also not been denied by Gunn. So we'll see how that works out. This November, we'll see the release of The Marvels, the sequel to, of course, the 2019 Captain Marvel film. And like most sequels, Marvels is kind of expecting viewers to have seen the previous film, but they're also kind of expecting viewers to have seen some of the series now that there are these series on Disney Plus. And, so we've got it's more of a team sequel. You've got Carol Danvers, Brie Larson, or Brie Larson's Carol Danvers, Aman Vellani as Kamala Khan, and Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau. And viewers are kind of expected to do additional homework because you kind of need to know WandaVision, of course, because that's where Monica goes from a little kid in Captain Marvel to an adult and has powers. Well, she gets them in WandaVision, and working for SWORD and how she gets involved, that's all in WandaVision. And then Miss Marvel, well, you got to find out what's with the bangle, because there's two of them in this thing. Her family pops up. How does she have powers? How is she part mutant? She's a mutant, but the bangle unlocked the power. So if you haven't seen those two series, they're probably good to watch before the Marvels comes out. But they're saying there's a third series that you're going to want to have watched. And again, this one makes sense, but this is the Nick Fury led Secret Invasion with Samuel L. Jackson coming back, as well as Ben Mendelsohn, both from Captain Marvel. Now they're dealing with the Skrull invasion, but the fallout of that should be interesting to see. And also, maybe there aren't Skrulls in Captain Marvel, but we definitely see Kree. And the Kree are the mortal enemy of the Skrulls, so makes sense. Secret Invasion hits Disney Plus on June 21st, and the Marvels hits theaters November 10th. So you got a little time for your homework. But don't wait till the last minute like you used to do in school. I mean, seriously. All right. Well, let's see. With Spider-Man Homecoming finally making its way to Disney Plus, we can finally see exactly where it fits in the MCU. And that's always been the big thing, is now that we've gotten past Endgame, it's like, well, where do these things all fit in the timeline? So luckily, Disney Plus has their chronological order, and that's how I've been rewatching things. Well, now that Spider-Man Homecoming is there, it fits right. It fits in between. Let me see. I got it here. Between Black Panther and Doctor Strange. So that now we can kind of visualize where everything is happening. Now, of course, the chronological order one's different because it's got Captain America, the First Avenger, starting it off, and then Captain Marvel. It works in not only the Disney Plus series, but it works in the one shots as well, which I've been watching too. Those are a lot of fun. But it also has the Thor set up after the Incredible Hulk, and stuff like that. So it's not piecing them together, like chopping them up. It's not taking like, well, this part from that would be an interesting way to watch it, though, wouldn't it? True chronological, like the prequel from Thor and all the early stuff from the Eternals, and then jumping over and suddenly we're in Captain America, the First Avenger. That would be kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to watch it that way, but you'd really have to figure out all that stuff. I'm sure somebody online has. And if anybody, for the whole thing about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's movie being canon now, they're not on the timeline. They're on Disney Plus now, but they're not on the timeline. Also, keep in mind, if you are trying to watch chronologically, The Incredible Hulk is not on Disney Plus. Still hoping it'll show up soon, but it's not there. So, all right, got a couple more things. Set photos from the upcoming fourth Captain America movie, currently called Captain America New World Order, but there's a big rumor out there that they may change the name of that. Well, we have seen from the set photos, not only will Sam Wilson be getting another new costume, which is sad because we only got the one he had in Falcon the Winter Soldier for like half an episode or part of an episode. So it'd be neat to see him in that for a while. Hopefully they'll let him be in it for a while and then change. Hey, Don, how you doing? But what they did see on set is WWE wrestler Seth Rollins, who appears to have been cast to play, well, it looks like he might be one of the Serpent Society. It's not a full-on, oh my God, it's the costume from the comics. They had pretty ridiculous costumes. But he does look like he and there's another actress there, and we know the Serpent Society is supposed to be showing up. So it would make a lot of sense if he is one. Now, what the Serpent Society is supposed to be is kind of the same thing that Batroc was in Winter Soldier or Crossbones was in Civil War. They start the story, but also they're the kind of that first level villain, so Cap can get a win at the start of the movie. So I'd be surprised if they don't, if he doesn't beat them and then they're gone and we move on, because there's supposed to be a huge number of villains in this. So, all right. This is interesting. Tonight is the day, well, tonight, tomorrow, midnight West Coast time, 3 a.m. East Coast time, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania will be available on Disney+. Well, when they release these, they tend to release a behind-the-scenes video or special. About an hour-long thing. They call it Assembled. We've seen it for most of the major movies ever since Phase 4 started. Well, like Thor: Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, their Assembled feature dropped the same night. Black Panther: Wakanda's Forever, they waited a week and dropped it. Word on Quantumania is their behind the scenes won't drop until June 14th. It's going to be almost a full month after. Now, no idea why. What, are they just trying to spread it out a little bit? Thinks, okay, we'll get 3 weeks of people watching Quantumania, and then, we put Assembled on there. Maybe somebody watches Assembled, not really caring much about the actual movie. They watch it, then they go watch it, the movie. I don't know. Have you ever watched behind the scene things for a show or a movie you didn't watch? Would be weird, but all right. And then finally, this one's fun. I remember when Disney had the Star Wars Celebration, and they brought out the cast of Andor for Andor season 2, which is coming up, and among them was Andy Serkis. And I remember thinking, isn't he dead, his character? Well, if he's not, if they're bringing him out, then maybe Kino Loy is going to live. And that would be cool. But, yeah, Kino Loy. So, well, now he has done a bunch of interviews recently. So I'm going to pull together 3 different comments here, but we can get an idea that he's definitely coming back. He talked to Empire Magazine, and he told them when they asked him what became of his character, he said, let's just say that Narkina 5 is a very lonely place without other people. That's the water planet that they were on in the prison. He also told ET Online that he questioned whether or not Kino jumped, saying if he jumped, that would be the end of him and he would be out of the picture. But no, he's alive, and Kino's working out his next move. Then he also talked about his excitement for playing the character with Collider. He said, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if a character becomes popular, sure. I seriously hope that's going to manifest because I really do love the character and I love playing the character so much. He's so complex and flawed and human and brave. I really love the arc of the character. I think there's definitely, I just imagine him sitting on Narkina 5 at the moment on his own, perfecting his backstroke. So, yeah, you learn to swim real fast if you have to. That is true, Aggressive. Absolutely. Ed asked, any word on season 4 of The Boys or if Book of Boba Fett is getting a season 2? Last I heard on Boys season 4 is that it was well into production. I know we've been seeing set photos with Jeffrey Dean Morgan in it. So you can expect that's going to be happening probably sooner rather than later. But I believe they're going to drop the spin-off series about the power people in college before that. So it may be we get the college one in the next couple of months, and then the boys at the end of the year or beginning of next year. But that's speculation. But they're both being worked on and finished up. As for Book of Boba Fett Season 2, there hasn't been any official word about that, but there's been a few comments from Tamura, can't remember, Tamura, the actor that plays Boba Fett. He's kind of hinting that he's coming back. He wasn't very happy with the fact that part of his show got hijacked by the Mandalorian, and that was all studio interference. They wanted Baby Grogu back in time for the beginning of Mandalorian. Temuera Morrison, thank you. It's just not a name that rolls off my tongue. So he wasn't happy about that, but they definitely left a lot of opening, and I get the feeling from him that he's going to be back. So we'll just have to see how that goes. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we will talk What If.
Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons: to sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1. Or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. Two quick bits of news that just popped up, both real, oddly related to football, but not football. These are just real interesting ones. Peyton Manning and Luke Bryan have been named to host the Country Music Awards. And Pat McAfee, the former punter for the Indianapolis Colts, who has a very popular sports talk show now where Aaron Rodgers tends to break all his news, has just signed a deal with ESPN where he'll be on ESPN and on their YouTube channel from now on, and will actually be I think he's a Disney princess now. I really do, because he made this deal after sitting down for an hour and a half with Bob Iger, who had had just spent time talking to the King of France, or the I'm sorry, not the King, but Macron from France. Now he's talking to Pat McAfee. So that's got to be weird. I'd just love to see the visitor log at Bob Iger's place. That ought to be hilarious. Oh no, that's fine. We're gonna start. What if Peyton Manning became a show host? What if Pat McAfee became a Disney princess? McAfee. All right, let's get into What If. I watched it earlier this week. I realize it's Tuesday. There's not a lot of earlier. I watched it Sunday. It's when I was crocheting. Actually had an interesting weekend. I spent Friday night building Warhammer miniatures. Spent Saturday writing 13 pages of a new script that I've got coming up, and Sunday crocheting. So it was a creative weekend, if nothing else. And I bring in Warhammer because I figure it's time to check in on Warhammer. We'll be doing that tomorrow. We'll be talking about some of the things that I've learned recently. And if you're looking to get in, I can give you some new information on what you might want to look for, stuff like that. So just kind of catch you up and maybe show off some of the stuff I've been working on. All right, let's get into What If. What If, of course, we have to start off with the fact that we didn't actually see all of it. We did, but we didn't. Originally, there was supposed to be 10 episodes. And what did you create this weekend? I'm still working on a blanket that it's going to be a pretty good sized blanket. It's just taking me a long while because the yarn is really small. So there was supposed to be another episode before the final two-parter. And that episode was going to be Iron Man and Gamora in deep space. I think it's after they fought Thanos, or somehow Gamora was still there. Now, we haven't seen it, but we're going to, because it's supposed to be part of season 2. But the important thing is that it was the Gamora that we ended up with in the 2-part finale was that one. So now let's talk about the actual episodes we did see. I want to say the first 4 episodes were as strong as anything Marvel has done. What If Captain Carter was the first Avenger? Had a great premise, well executed. The art style they're using all these is very unique to it, but also very good. But the Captain Carter one went places very different. It wasn't just a carbon copy of, well, what if we took out Steve and put Peggy in his place? You know, we got to see, it went a little Lovecraftian, which I know Jay loves. And we got to see Steve Rogers still become a hero, just in a different way. Oh, Triple B made it home safe. Very cool. Yes, I made it soon safe. Home safe. Okay. So I really liked the first one. I thought it was a great start, and we were supposed to get a sequel to that one, because I think dealing with the fact that at one part in the 2-parter, she finds the Hydra Stomper is still alive, or Steve is still alive. So maybe he's the Winter Soldier version, because he did kind of, the whole Winter Soldier thing going on. But it was a very interesting one. Then we went into what if T'Challa had become Star-Lord. And besides this being probably the last thing Chadwick Boseman recorded, it was just a lot of fun, because they take all the cosmic stuff from the Guardians movies and whatnot, and they have fun with it, and they make Thanos kind of a little bit funnier. Just everybody is a little lighter, and it's a fun episode to watch. But again, you've got Chadwick being great, Now, see, I don't know if this was the last thing he recorded, or he did a couple lines in a later one. So I don't know if that's the one. Or he was in the finales. But yeah, this is where Chadwick did his last stuff. And this is where Marvel put the dedication. The third episode, was one of my personal favorites, because I grew up a fan of Yellow Jacket and Hank Pym. I thought he was a cool character. What they've done with him since, but I liked him when I was a kid. So anytime that Hank Pym gets to be a badass, I'm all for it. Like in Quantumania, you could save 1,000 sins just by having Hank walk across with an army of giant ants in a flowing trench coat, looking like a badass. That's all I asked. That worked for me. This one, the third one though, is kind of a take on a comic they did called Nick Fury's Big Week, I think it was. And it just kind of shows what would have happened without the Avengers, in the sense that they don't find Steve Rogers because he's distracted. Tony Stark gets killed, Hawkeye gets killed, Thor gets. They're all just wiped out, and you find out they're all wiped out by Hank Pym, which goes to show you he's way more powerful than we ever thought he was. And some of them was, like the Thor one, is because Thor had been depowered and he was able to take him out before he got his powers back. But the rest of them, he killed the Hulk. That's quite impressive. So I really did watch that. I need to rewatch the What Ifs if I barely remember them. Yeah, I remember. I turned them on and thought, oh, I remember these. And there was a couple I couldn't remember at all. And then once I started watching, I'm like, oh, okay, these are coming back. The fourth one is the Doctor Strange one. And that has to be one of the hardest ones to watch, because of just what he goes through and he does to himself, all in the name of love. And it's just, and there's some good comedic beats, like the one guy always calling him Sorcerer Armani, because, he said the name thing weird. And, but it's a tough one. I had a hard time with that one, because I know all of the stuff. I remember watching it the first time, and just, it's a heart-wrenching episode. So you got those four coming out the gate, and it's like, bam, these are great. And then number 5, I didn't like as much. It's What If Killmonger Saved Tony Stark? And it just, for it to work, it had to make some people blindly trusting and stupid. Tony Stark, Obadiah Stane, Thunderbolt Ross, T'Chaka, all these people accepted what Killmonger was selling them, even Claw. And it's a little hard to believe that all of them would just buy in. So that one I didn't like as much. It's got, again, interesting, good art, interesting story, but I just felt that that one was a little weaker than the others. Ed says, oh, about the Doctor Strange one, that was a tough one. And just because you're a superhero doesn't mean bad stuff won't happen. No matter what he did, she was going to die. That was rough. Yeah, that one was incredibly rough. And then you come off of the Killmonger one, and you get the Party Thor one, which I think was a little too party, in my opinion. You know, I get that we're supposed to teach him humility and stuff, but Thor's humility seems to be like a light switch. Oh yeah, the relationship between Thor and Loki in that one was fun. But I was talking to my nephew last night, and we were talking about one of my problems with Love and Thunder is that by the end of Ragnarok, Thor has lost all of his family, and he's lost Asgard. We see him dealing with grief and pain in Endgame. And then we get to Thor Love and Thunder. And he gets back into shape, but all of that cockiness returns. The humility is gone. And that's, and that's not the Thor I particularly like. I know it's an important part of the character, but it's the beginning of the character, and we're well past that. So I think that's one of the reasons Love and Thunder didn't work, is we didn't have, Thor was still just too silly. So, all right. So you had those. And then we get to the big grand finale, the two-parter. And that I thought was awesome. Ultron, what if Ultron had won and he got his synthoid body made of vibranium? So he became a mix of him and the Vision and goes against Yuto the Watcher. Just that one, I love the fight between them and punching their ways through realities. And then, of course, he has to put together the team, and the team is all the people that we had met in the previous episodes, minus Gamora, plus Gamora, who we didn't get to see that episode. And from what I understand, it's that with the pandemic and everything, they just couldn't get it done in time. That's why it's being bumped to this season. But I think it would have helped to have that episode on the overall. But I know I skipped one, didn't I? I skipped the zombie episode. And I skipped the zombie episode for a reason. Because I don't like zombies. Marvel Zombies was never my thing. I'm not a Walking Dead guy. Lisa loves zombies. She plays a game called 7 Days to Die. So I get pulled into zombie stuff a lot. Not my thing. So I don't want zombies in my Marvel universe. But that's me. That said, I think the story was good. I think they handled the characters pretty well. I love that David Dastmalchian's character made it as long as he did. The idea of Scarlet Witch versus Hulk, fantastic. Paul Rudd and making the Harry Potter jokes and running around with a cape. It's all really good stuff. I thought there was a good humor. It was a well-written episode. It was still zombies, though. So I have a hard time with that. I don't like zombies. But it was a good episode. And then we get to the two-parter, which I think was really well done. I think it brought everything together. even to the point where it's like, well, what came from the zombie universe? And then we see all the zombies in Zombie Wanda fall in. Steve says zombies were done to death even long before The Walking Dead, no pun intended. Yeah, horror has always been cyclical. You know, when Steve Niles came out with 30 Days of Night, vampires had been gone for a while. And then Twilight really brought vampires back, and vampires were the big thing for a long time. And then suddenly vampires were overdone and they went to zombies. So, you know, I think witches and stuff are kind of popular right now. So it really is cyclical. So hopefully zombies will go away for a while. Maybe we'll get some lycanthropes or patchwork men or something else, have an aliens boom or witches, and then it'll come back around to vampires again. That's the way it works. So I really did like the two-parter. I like that Black Widow was in it. They kind of brought Black Widow in for those episodes, though. So she was the one that showed up from the episodes, and they borrowed the Gamora from the episode they didn't run. But I think it was a pretty good episode, you know, or follow-up. And for a series overall, I think it was really strong because you had mostly good episodes. I mean, I picked on. I'm going to put the zombie episode in the good category. I think that they had 2 weak episodes, the Killmonger and the Thor. I think all of the other ones were really strong, which is amazing if you think about it, to do that many strong episodes. Yeah, making sure I still think of all the right ones. I thought the ending was good and tied everything together. And I think it leaves it set up for a second season where we know that Uatu is going to be having a slightly different role. He's more of a protector of the universes now. So we'll have to see how that goes. And we do know, like I said, 2 of them are going to be Captain Carter again. Maybe it'll be what if Steve Rogers was the Winter Soldier. And then the Gamora one that we didn't get. Now, will it be another 9-episode season? Will it be a 10-episode like it was supposed to be season 1? Will it be 11 episodes? All of that's still up in the air, or even when we're getting it. Because I know the animation houses were hit pretty hard by COVID as well, with a lot of them being overseas, and the access to stuff like the vaccines and stuff was limited in some of those areas. So again, we'll have to, hopefully we'll find out by San Diego Con a little more, some more dates and stuff on like What If and some of these other projects that we haven't got final confirmation on. So, all right, let's go ahead and wrap that up, and then we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk key issues, and hit the like and subscribe buttons while I'm away. Be right back.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise. A promise of adventure. A promise of excitement. A promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Hey, before we get to the key issues, we got two bits of news that just dropped, and they're pretty big. The first one has to do from the Disney upfronts. Kevin Feige just announced that all episodes of the Hawkeye spinoff series Echo will drop at once on November 29th. This will be the first time Disney has released all of a series at once, and there's a lot to take from that. Feige said at the upfronts, in Hawkeye, fans were introduced to Maya Lopez, a character played by Alaqua Cox. She will return to get her revenge in Echo, a limited drama from an incredible team of indigenous writers, directors, and cast members. And in a first for all of us episodes, all episodes will drop November 29th. He also said that Loki, which will still air weekly, is going to start on October 6th, which means that they could be overlapping. So this might be something due to delays, and they have to get this out because they need it out before Daredevil Born Again starts. I don't know. Or maybe I don't think they're going to shift to binge watching normally, or maybe it's not that good and they just want to get it out and get it out of the way. I don't know, but it's coming out. And then Chiwetel Ejiofor, who plays Baron Mordo in Doctor Strange, has just signed on to star opposite of Tom Hardy in Venom 3. Don't know what he's going to play yet, but so that's the two bits of news that just dropped in the last couple of minutes. All right, let's blast through these key collectibles real quick, because I did What If. I figured if we're doing a What If show, this is the first issue of What If from way back in '77, What If number 1. It was What If Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four. This is the highest valued What If comic out there. 150 on the high end, 50 on the median, 15 on the low. Then we have number 7 was the next good valued one. What if someone else besides Spider-Man had been bitten by a radioactive spider? This comes in about 35 on the high, 9 on the median, 3 on the low. That's number 7. Then we have What If number 10 from 1978. What if Jane Foster had found the hammer of Thor? It's another $150 one, 50 and 15. So that's your high-end price. This, of course, tying into Thor: Love and Thunder. What If number 13. What if Conan the Barbarian walked the earth today? High end on this is about $20. Median's 8, low end's 2. Then we have What If Doctor Strange was a disciple of Dormammu from number 18 in '79. 25 on the high end, 8 on the median, $2 on the low end. What if the Hulk had become a barbarian, kind of the opposite of the Conan one? This was from 1980. It was number 23, 35 on the high end, 9 in the middle, 3 at the low end. What If number 31 in 1982 had What If Wolverine had killed the Hulk? Of course, playing off of Hulk 181. High end on this is $45, median's 12, low end's about $4. And this was, I believe, the last issue of the first run. But What If number 47 from 1984, What If Loki had found the hammer of Thor? Bill Sienkiewicz cover. High end $40, median's 12, low end's 4. Then, of course, they relaunched the What If in the 90s. This was What If number 44 from 1992. What if Venom had possessed the Punisher? High end on this is 20, median's 8, low end's number 2. That's not the best Punisher picture I've ever seen, but. And then we had, was the other big one. What If number 105. It's actually the first appearance of Spider-Girl, also known as Mayday Parker, who would go on and become a regular part of the Marvel Universe. High end's 125, median's 40, low end's 12. So, got some pretty interesting stuff. Ooh, I like how you changed the What If logo at the end there. That was very nice. Ed asks, how are you feeling about the writer's strike? Do you think they're going to work it out soon? Or is this a long, drug-out process? Any thoughts? I got a couple minutes. My thoughts on this is the writers are not asking for anything outrageous. They're basically asking for compensation for their work in the new medium and to protect the amount of people being hired. This is something any union would do. The studios aren't going to look good, especially if this drags on. And the studios are going to lose more and more money as this goes. It's going to get to a point where it's cheaper to pay the writers than to let the strike keep going. You're going to backlog all the studios. All these people aren't working. It's a huge deal. But the problem is that there's other unions about to have their contracts. So the studios don't want to give too much. Do I think they'll find common ground? Yes. Do I think they'll do it quickly? We're probably a couple weeks away. I think this is going to have to linger probably into June before the studios start thinking, okay, we're losing a lot of money here. So, and the studios tend to play hardball, but I think it'll come around probably in a couple weeks. I don't see it going more than, I don't think it'll go past June. And then I think it's in August they have to deal with the Directors Guild and a few others. So, but I think their demands or their requests, demands always sound horrible. Their requests are valid and legitimate and should be honored, at least in some part. I know the micro room idea is tough, especially when you're having these smaller series. You know, maybe there needs to be a sliding scale. There's X number of episodes, then it needs this many writers. I don't know. There's got to be common ground. It's just a matter of everybody getting in the room, and it's the same thing with the debt ceiling debate going on right now. You know, Biden doesn't think there should be any attachments to the debt ceiling being approved or raised, and the Republicans are using what the power they have to try to force spending cuts. But it's pie in the sky right now. Biden's going to have to give up some, and the Republicans are going to have to ease off to find that common ground. They're going to have to do it quickly. So it has to get past the puffed up chest phase. Well, we're not going to do it. No, we're not going to, we're demanding this. So I think it's getting there. But a ticking clock always helps. There's a ticking clock on the debt ceiling. There isn't one so far on the writer's strike. But as the studios lose more and more money, the ticking clock starts. So again, I think I think in June they'll wrap it up, probably in the middle of June. But again, it could go anyway. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there so I can take a minute and get ready for the next show. So I will be right back with Jay and Kyle as we talk about stuff like the new Conan series. We got the free comic day issue on that. We've got a couple new books, Good Deeds, Maleficent, something new from Mike Mignola. So we got a lot of really good stuff to talk about. Any homework for tomorrow? Tomorrow's going to be an information day. I'm just going to catch you up on some stuff about Warhammer. If you guys decide you want to play, I'm going to give you some tips on getting into it and why you should probably hold off for a couple weeks, maybe a month, or if you want to jump in, where a good place is. So we'll do that. And I'll see if there's any Warhammer comics we can do for the key issues, because I have a feeling those are going to start becoming valuable once the production starts with Henry Cavill in it. So, all right, guys, going to wrap it up there. Stick around for Jay, Kyle, and I in stores this week. Be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.